Fart turkeys. I just wanted to start that out correctly.
I didn't catch that. It just started recording. Oh, it says 24 seconds, so maybe it did.
Okay.
But what a way to start.
You'll hear it when you go to re-edit. Hey, just real quick, I just wanted to say that we've been watching Bob's Burgers, all of it, like from the beginning, and wow, that shit's great. Kind of missed out on not watching that to begin with. We've gone through like the first seven seasons, I think, in like a week or a week and a half.
Well, they're only like 30-minute episodes, though. Right?
Yeah. And
I've never actually watched it.
And the first 3 or 4 seasons are only like 16 episodes or 12 to 16 episodes, so it's like those ones kind of flew by quicker. But yeah, it's actually a really good show. We watch a lot of old shows. We'll do like full watches of like old shows.
Is binging becoming more of a thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's just because if somebody hasn't seen something, like we watched all of original Star Trek. We went all through that, the good and the bad, and that was kind of fun. That was kind of fun. I had watched them all before, but she had never seen them, so it was kind of fun. But anyways, I don't know why I went on that tangent.
I don't know, but you know what? You can't binge watch Andor. You can't binge watch Andor. Because it drops 1 episode a week.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's a bad thing. Like I could have done. I know we'll probably talk about it, but I could have went with Tales of the Jedi being dropped one in a week because those 6 episodes just went by way too fast.
Okay, so I haven't actually watched that yet, and I know I just did drop the other day. This week has been, I've just been really busy this week, between school stuff and stuff personal, just outside interests. But we can talk about Andor because I said the last time that we were gonna meet, we'd talk about Andor.
Yeah, and there's been 2 episodes since then.
Yeah. The first 4 were it held my interest, but it was a bunch of backstory, just kind of leading up to where this was gonna go.
I don't know if you've noticed that Andor is arranged into 3 episode arcs.
Is it? I haven't actually paid attention to that.
Yeah, the first 3 episodes, which were the first 3 that dropped originally, were the arc of him, killing the dudes. Spoilers. Killing the dudes and then getting everything into motion, ending with him leaving with Luthen. So that was the first 3 episode arc.
So episode 3 was good then. Episode 3 was good, and it was a nice end to that arc, I guess.
Right. And
what was next? Oh, episode 6 was the heist.
Yeah, the 4, 5, and 6 were the heists, which the final episode of each arc has been really good, and I think the best of the first 2 arcs. Now, on the 3rd arc, the 2nd episode, which was this last episode, was a really good episode. I actually went back and looked, and I found out that this last episode, along with episodes 1 through 3, I believe it was, were directed by a guy who directed a lot of notable episodes of Doctor Who. People that would say that are like big deal episodes of Doctor Who. So
we can talk about Doctor Who in a minute too, because it's now a Disney thing.
yes, it is. So yeah, if you hadn't noticed that, you'll definitely notice that now, because that means this next episode will be the end of the next arc, which means presumably, hopefully, he'll get out of jail.
Yeah. At first, I didn't catch that was live instead of like a flashback. Like, I didn't catch that at first. I don't know why. Yeah, and then because I was like, this is way too long to be a flashback. And then I was like, oh, okay, I see what's going on now. Just as other stuff progressed within the episodes. But what I like about this show, and we can talk about however you want it, but I was talking to a friend of mine, and he actually said this is the Star Wars that we as adults kind of want it, because it's very mature to the point where there's even some themes that are like for a more mature audience. Nothing bad, but there's some themes that are a little bit more mature in what happens. And now that all of us who enjoyed this as kids, the original, this is kind of what we wanted. It's the spy movie. You're always looking. I was talking to another guy I work with, and he was saying, yeah, I watched this and I want to know, like, okay, that one of these people is going to turn, but you don't know who. Like, they're going to turn sides.
Right.
And it's either going to be an Imperial who joins, the rebellion, what's going to be the rebellion, or somebody who's on that side who's going to end up working for the Imperials. And you're trying to figure out, like, everybody's motive, like, who's going to turn. And I see that. I see it too. I'm like, there's a couple of characters. I'm like, I want to see what this one does, because like their story hasn't really gone anywhere yet. So why are they still in these episodes? that there's something there. Like the I can't remember that guy, the stuffy guy that was working in the little data thing. The one that originally
Mr. Norman Bates as
yes. Yeah, that's
a
good one.
Seen that? They're comparing him to Norman Bates because his mother is really like a lot.
Yeah. He's got something coming. I can't figure out what it is. He's going to be a more important part of the story because his story could have ended when they left, and they didn't.
His whole thing is kind of like he kind of gets in there with his little scenes, and it feels very unimportant and pointless and like a waste of time right now. Mm-hmm. But hopefully later it's going to pay off.
Yeah.
Just a note that place where he was working was apparently some leftover concept. You know, that big place with all the cubicles.
Yeah, the purifier place.
Yeah, that apparently was a leftover concept from a previous movie, I believe, from Rogue One, which would make sense since obviously Tony Gilroy has that connection with and then it's funny that you talk about that being the most Star Wars of Star Wars, the new Star Wars, because that's where, you know, basically most people say about Rogue One.
Yeah.
It is the same creative, it is the same threads and all that. But yeah, it has been very good. And it's appealing to the people who feel like they weren't completely satisfied by Mandalorian, and especially by Book of Boba Fett, which I'm one of those people. I'm not one of those people that like absolutely loves the Mandalorian and will do anything for Jon Favreau and kiss his feet and
for Baby Grogu. I'll kill you for Baby Grogu.
I will do nothing for Baby Grogu because Baby Grogu could drop off the face of the earth, and I couldn't even notice. But eventually, when you watch Tales of the Jedi, you'll see how much the influence Baby Grogu has had when it comes to when you see Baby Ahsoka. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, okay.
But getting back to Andor, yeah, you're awfully quiet. Have you not seen Andor?
No, I have. It was all right.
You're into lightsabers and Jedi.
Gina's into Star Wars light.
I've always enjoyed Star Wars. I like the original, 3, honestly, more than anything. They were great. I grew up watching them on like Channel 5 on Sunday, I'm not like immersed in the universe. I don't read any of the things. A lot of the characters are lost on me. I thought it was okay. I mean, I was more into the Game of Thrones Part 2, so I was like paying more attention to that because we would watch them often on the same night, or real close to each other. So I feel like I need to go back and like rewatch the ones again so that we can finish off the series, because maybe I wasn't giving it enough attention. It's okay. I liked The Mandalorian, couldn't stand the Book of Boba Fett. Aside from the one character, what's her name? Boba Fett's side chick.
Van Shannon.
Yeah, her. I don't know a lot of the characters. I think I walked by her the other day in Batuu, and it took me like, I kept looking. I was like, was that her? Or was that somebody dressed as her? Because people were dressed up early for the boogie thing. So, I don't know. My husband is much more into it. He loves this series. He thinks it's great. He definitely likes it more than the Book of Boba Fett. I don't know if he likes it more than Mandalorian. We hadn't really talked about it, but he's really happy with it. So he says it's great. He agrees. I'm listening because a lot of what he said to me, like you guys are saying. So I feel like I need to go back and rewatch it. Like maybe I'm missing something.
Probably. I think it's to bring it kind of full circle to what we actually started with, the whole binge watching thing. It is different when you get to sit there and watch the whole thing all the way through. It's a little different because you catch it and the story continues. Like you get the recap at the beginning, and I'm the one that like I'm Wednesday mornings, like as I'm getting ready, I got my iPad and I'm watching Andor, but there's something to be said for watching it all at once. So you catch that like movie.
Certain things that will have a big reveal at the end, or some big whoa, I wasn't expecting that to happen. I can't wait until next week. Those things work for the weekly model. We'll get to it later, but She-Hulk worked for the weekly model because of those big oh, Daredevil's helmet in the background, things like that. But I think Andor hasn't had any of those kind of moments particularly.
No, I don't think it has, but it's left in a spot where it's been
it's fine that she's gone because I'm about to make a reference that only you will understand. And as soon as that guy appeared on screen 2 episodes ago, I knew immediately that was Yularen. And I went, oh my god, that's Yularen. Before I was even confirmed in the credits that was Yularen, I went, oh my god, that's Yularen. And I was just so giddy because how Yularen just pops up in everything.
Yeah.
Just like one of those characters that who he is, and if you've read things, where he's supposed to be at this time. And ever since ISB was introduced in this series, I knew that there would be a possibility that Yularen might show up. And then as soon as he appeared on screen, I was like, oh my god, that's Yularen, and I was so excited.
But you weren't as excited to see Snoke?
No, I was like, oh my god, that's Andy Serkis.
Yeah, me too. I heard the voice and I was like, wait a minute, that's Andy Serkis. I knew there was no Snoke connection. Andy Serkis is just playing a different character.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, but it was cool to see him.
No, if anything, he doesn't sound anything like any of those characters. He sounds more like Caesar from like the Planet of the Apes movies.
Okay. Yeah, but I actually get that reference, but like, okay, I see that. Yeah. He wasn't trying to sound like Snoke, because there is still a difference in the way he performed that character versus.
Yeah. No, it definitely has nothing to do with Snoke. It's just some guy. Eddie, it's just the guy that works at Cassian's table, who is the old guy.
Yeah,
he's the guy in the original Michael Keaton Batman movie at the beginning, where he says, "What are you? I'm Batman." That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Claim to fame.
Yeah.
That's the favorite Batman movie.
Hold on. That's a completely different company. Yeah. But no, it is a good movie.
Make an aside. It's my favorite Batman movie.
I'm excited to see where Andor goes.
It's weird because normally by this point in the series we would be getting ready for it to wind down.
Yeah, and there's still 4 more episodes, right?
Yeah, this is the longest season of, and I think that they have planned out for
season 2.
The whole season, season 2 to be the same amount of episodes. They mapped out a whole thing, because once Diego Luna said, I don't want to do more than these amount of seasons, they mapped out all the seasons.
I think they're long episodes. Aren't they? Like, I remember them. They're like close to 50 minutes. Minus the credits.
There are no rings of power, but
yeah. I'm gonna look real quick while we're doing that. But yeah, I was actually surprised that, like, oh my gosh, these are actually like, fairly long episodes.
They're meaty. They feel a little more. I do like when they make them longer. I don't think that I don't really like the 20 or 30 minute episodes of things. It's just not enough for me to really feel like they've done a complete job on a storyline. So I do appreciate them a little bit longer, for sure.
So everything from episode 6 and beyond has clocked in at over 50 minutes. Now we have to minus about 5 minutes for credits because they're crazy long. But that puts the episode at about 45 minutes apiece, which is fair, because that's about what you're getting from an hour TV show,
right?
Minus the commercials anyway. So not bad.
Yeah, usually that's about 42 minutes minus commercials on a regular TV show. So that's good.
You mentioned the other show that I was going to bring up, which is She-Hulk. Now, I can't necessarily say, we were talking about it, and everybody that I've talked to, was like, She-Hulk, what do you think? And I'm like, I can't say I championed She-Hulk. I definitely liked it, knowing the character is kind of quirky and she breaks the fourth wall all the time. And so every episode I was like, it was good for what it is. I'm still enjoying the series. I still can't tell you what happened in the last episode. I don't know what they're doing in the last episode. And I can't tell you I hate it, because that's not true. But I truly don't know what they were thinking with the last episode. like where they were going. And you're right. Everything was like little drops for like something that's going to happen, assumedly in the MCU itself. But by the end of that last episode, I thought it was brilliant with the Kevin part, like Kevin. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And they're gonna totally like the Disney crawl, the Disney Plus crawl. She comes out of there into the thing, meets Kevin. And I was like, they're not gonna have Kevin Feige on it, and it's that AI thing. I thought that was cool, but the way the episode just like went from, oh, here's the Hulk King to, oh, now he's just arrested. And like, how did we get here? And what am I seeing? And the big reveal is Hulk's son, who seemingly comes out of nowhere. Like, I'm like, what did I just watch? It fell apart at the end for me. I don't even know what I watched. I still don't know what I watched at the end at all. What do you think? Did you watch it?
I personally watched
Either
it.
one of you.
Yeah, I haven't.
I watched it. Oh, you haven't seen it?
I haven't seen that one. We had like so
you
many.
don't have to watch everything. You're allowed to not watch everything. It's allowed. I mean, I know sometimes it feels like you need to watch everything.
No.
Like as if you don't watch something, you're gonna miss something. But you will get caught up somehow. Somebody will tell you what it means. You know, I mean, you could watch the whole thing and still Dan watch that whole episode and still doesn't understand what it means.
Nope.
Do you know the background behind Hulk's son?
Yeah.
You know where it came from.
I do.
Like in the comics, you know what the background is.
Anyway, so like I don't really know the MCU well, but I'd like to see, like, I really enjoyed Loki and I liked it as like a standalone series with a standalone character. And that's what I prefer because I'm not immersed in that universe. Like I never was really into comics, but like the standalone stuff. So I probably won't watch She-Hulk unless something amazing happens or somebody's,
you're not going to watch it.
Something somewhere. But
in this case, you could pick specific storylines that you want to follow because there's going to be a lot of storylines that are going on. The She-Hulk storyline, I feel like, connects with what's going to eventually, or what was the Falcon and the Winter Soldier storyline, and what will be the Captain America New World Order storyline. I feel like that it's part of that. But it's also part of the Young Avengers, setting up for Young Avengers and things like that. So you have different storylines that are going on simultaneously in this phase of Marvel because it all is going to end in something. But if you're more interested in following the Loki part of the storyline with Kang and everything, then your next big thing that you want to make sure you watch will be obviously Quantumania. Because that's going to connect to the stuff that went on in Loki.
This seemingly had a bunch of random drops. She-Hulk had a bunch of random drops that were like, some people thought it was going to be more than it was. And it just didn't work out that way. Like the helmet, people even trip out like, oh, it's mustard yellow. Well, that's kind of, yes. Like, how do you not,
how do you not know that he had a yellow costume when he had his red costume? I mean, right. I guess by not reading comics or not knowing anything about Daredevil comics. But I mean, if you don't know that, then you are really in no position to complain about anything.
It's not quite the same character as the Netflix series, and I think that's what people wanted. And it's not quite that.
Well, that's too bad.
Yeah, so that's fine. It was okay.
More.
It's not.
The thing I loved about the series the most was that it was directed at all the stupid people that just deserve to be ridiculed, anyways. And ridiculed without fear of them crying about it and Disney actually caring, because apparently in this case they didn't care.
It was supposed to be tongue-in-cheek, as is the comic. So I think that's why I let it get a pass for a bit, because it was like, this is what the comic is like. Like literally on the first page of the comics, and even the original series where she premiered, she's talking to the reader. Yeah. Like that's just what it is. And if you don't get that, it's hard to understand, like, oh, whatever. But it's still, like, I think critic-wise still did really well as far as, like, it's the critical acclaim.
Because it was a refreshing change from everything that we had been, for the last 2 years of Marvel shows. We've had pretty dark stuff.
Yeah, and this definitely was not dark at all. I mean, twerking with Cardi B, that's not dark.
No, no, it's not.
It was pretty funny.
But it did introduce and continue important threads that I think because no matter what the supposed retcon at the end of the episode, I think the taking of the blood and the storyline pertaining to her blood being taken, I still think that's the storyline that's going to be the end. That's where I think it connects it to the events of Falcon and Winter Soldier and whatever's going to happen with New World Order, because I think the stuff with the blood connects with the ongoing. I know that they say that that's the whole point is, oh, let's not keep going back to the super soldier thing, but it's still they introduced that in Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's going to continue on. The leader is confirmed to be the villain of New World Order. The leader may end up being the one that was behind Hulkling. I wouldn't be shocked. And the leader may also end up being connected to, or something in this episode may end up being connected to the Power Broker. So those are all things that you have to think big picture.
Oh yeah, Marvel definitely does that. It's so mapped out. Let's take it somewhere else now. Marvel, before I introduce something a little bit more lighthearted. Werewolf by Night, because it's Halloween. Did you? Oh yeah, we never talked about that.
I like that. That was really good.
Yeah.
I mean, it was standalone because I asked She-Hulk or Werewolf by Night. Dan was like, you should do Werewolf by Night. So I did that one. It was great. It was great for like a Halloween vibe too. But I thought it was shot really well. I liked the cinematography of it. I liked the story of it. It was, for me, I really enjoyed that as just even a standalone episode, like standalone movie. It was great.
And would you believe it was directed by a composer?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, that actually makes a whole lot of sense.
I mean, it's just when we found out
directorial debut,
that Michael Giacchino was going to direct it, we were like, what?
Yeah.
And by the end, we're like, Michael Giacchino needs to direct Blade, like right now.
Yeah, it was done. It was really well.
The dark stuff. If you can't get Guillermo del Toro to come do dark stuff, have Michael Giacchino do it, because he obviously knows the assignment.
Yeah, I love Universal horror movies. The original Universal horror, I love them, the old black and white ones. And as soon as I saw what this was and what the content was going to be, I was like, this is a calling and a tribute to the original Universal horror movies, because you saw very little of any type of monster until the end. And it was like,
even then, the black and white and the use of shadows still. I loved the scene when he transforms and all you see is the shadow.
I love that, and I love the fact that his look, that's Lon Chaney. His look was Lon Chaney, because that's what a man would look like if he turned into a wolf and he was half man, half wolf. Because you're not going to turn into, like, Harry Potter had a full on, like, that looks like a dog. No. This was supposed to be a wolf man. And that's what you got out of that. I thought it was incredible.
With a little bit of American Werewolf in London.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, what is the monster's name? It's totally escaping me right now.
Ed?
Yeah, no. What is the comic name?
Oh, Werewolf by Night?
No, not Werewolf by Night. The other one, Ed. The actual monster in the episode.
Man Thing.
Yes, Man Thing. Yeah. That it looked incredible.
Yeah,
it looked incredible. Marvel totally took. Third tier characters. Come on, man, they're third tier characters. Marvel took third tier cult characters and brought them successfully into the MCU in a Halloween special that was really cool. And then I thought it was cool how it shifted into color when she sat down at the end.
Yeah,
with
speaking
of Bloodstone.
I kept thinking, I'm like, oh, Man Thing looks great. You're using the black and white to make it look even better, because then you don't have to be like, oh, it's in color. We have to have it make it look really amazing in color. Yeah. But then so in color, and it looked amazing in color. I'm like, how did you make Man Thing look so great, and yet She-Hulk looked like shit in the first handful of episodes? And even still kind of looks shit toward the end. They even made a joke about how they didn't want it, that the reason why they did the whole thing was so they wouldn't have to have it in CG.
Yeah.
So it's like, then you got Man Thing looking like in a fucking amazing. I can't wait to see how far and more into the supernatural side of the Marvel universe,
because that's going to end up obviously colliding with probably Strange and Wanda and her. Then that's and the Agatha upcoming.
Yep.
But then that connected with Blade, connected back to Moon Knight.
Moon Knight. Yeah,
possibility of Midnight Suns, and also Ghost Rider.
You almost have a whole different side of the MCU just introducing these characters, because I remember the comics as a little kid, they were their own separate kind of thing that only crossed over every once in a while, because Dracula himself, you could bring Dracula, the Tomb of Dracula.
Well, Dracula connects to both things, because Dracula obviously connects to Blade, because Blade was introduced in the Tomb of Dracula comic, right, and he fought Blade. But then Blade also connects to Werewolf by Night, because Werewolf by Night fought Dracula and worked with Blade. And the vampire up on the wall and he says, "Oh yeah, I fought him." That's a reference to obviously him fighting vampires.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool. It was really done well. Shout out to Disney, who brings in another Mexican actor to be a lead, besides Diego Luna, who, there's something there, and I think that's actually pretty cool in itself. There's like another Mexican lead. And he and Diego Luna have some kind of production company. Did you know that? I forget what it's called, and I don't remember the actor's name off the top of my head. But yeah, cool. They actually have worked together, and they have some kind of production company or something together. So they're acquainted and work together. So I think that's actually kind of cool that they bring in that aspect to it too. So highly recommended watching, even if it's not Halloween time. And this will drop as we record right before Halloween. This will drop.
And that one's like, it has people like, it's like if you didn't know like the Bloodstone thing, or like if you didn't know that Ulysses Bloodstone, the guy that's in the coffin that's dead, he was like zombie. Yeah, he was like from the comics in like the 70s, and he was just like, he was kind of like he was supposedly like a caveman that lived forever or something.
Yeah.
And then Elsa Bloodstone was introduced in a comic that I actually have from like the early 2000s.
All those supernatural comics kind of had their heyday in like the early to mid 70s.
Right.
I read them as reissues, and I have I think I have a couple of volumes of Tomb of Dracula I've read, because those were those ones that were about so thick and like $20 for like 100 stories in them, whatever, because it was kind of like it was kind of the Castaway stuff, but I have an interest in that kind of stuff, so I did that. And now having Marvel Unlimited, there's a bunch of them. They're all scanned. And there's been, of course, redos and reboots and miniseries along the way. So that's been kind of cool. So something different, Halloween time again. Now, we talked about this last time too, and I actually did it, is Hocus Pocus. So I actually did watch the original, and I actually watched the second one, I think I watched the original right before the second one came out. Then I watched the second one, I think sometime over the weekend that it came out. Wow. Wow, that's all I'm gonna say. First one,
they're cheese. They're supposed to be cheese. They're like, to me, they're like campy movies that you watch them for that cheesy, campy wholesomeness. They're not anything more than that. And that's,
I think I had read somewhere that the original directors, it basically was him and his daughter's idea, as they're just making up a story. And he decided, this would make an interesting movie. Low budget, of course, just whatever. And it's definitely a cult classic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's so dated. Like the first one is really just
Rocky Horror Picture Show. You don't watch it for its good, dramatic cinematography and music. Like you watch it because it's,
how dare you?
But people treat this.
How dare you?
I know you don't take part in this, Anthony, but you should have seen these Disney groups when the second one came out. People talk so much trash on the second one, and it was like, the first one was not Citizen Kane. Like, have you watched? You're having, and I've said, I'm guilty of saying this a lot, but the whole nostalgic factor, like the Muppets, the Muppets, like it just doesn't hold up to me. Hocus Pocus, it's dated. it's dated and it's not an Academy Award winning movie. It was supposed to be fun.
How dare you? The Muppets now?
Yes. No,
Wow.
we've had this conversation before. Like, it does not hold up.
Muppet movie holds up. I don't care what you say.
My
A
kids,
Muppet
I
Christmas
tried to
Carol
show them the
fight.
Muppets when they were little
Right.
before Disney Plus on DVD, and they had no interest. None. My kids were just
Muppet
like,
Christmas
what
Carol
is this?
is
Yeah.
amazing.
But anyway.
2 words, Michael Caine.
Yeah, he's pretty good at it.
Yeah, he is pretty good. But anyway, yeah, no, people were legitimately like, "Oh my God, what was this? This is nothing." I'm like, the first one was not an Academy Award winning movie, and you got exactly what you wanted. Everybody has called for years, like, let me get more of the sisters. And so, what did they do in the second movie? They gave you more of the sisters. Like, they're like, well, there was barely any story because you wanted more of the sisters. It gave you more of the sisters. It's exactly what it did.
Gave people what they've been asking for 30 years or whatever, and everybody's like, "Oh, we hate it." But now everyone
can't give people what they ask for because then they won't want it.
People are
Look at
fickle.
Star
and-
Wars. Look at Star Wars.
Oh, don't get started. Let's finish the Hocus Pocus.
Like-
We don't have 3 hours. We got about 45 minutes. But that's what happened. Yeah.
Right. But now I would love to see, because like, listen, Bette Midler, she's in her 70s. She did a great job. I mean, bless her heart. The other two are what, 50s and 60s. They're up there. I personally love Hocus Pocus, and I would love to see them do more with the kids. Those 3 little girls who played the sisters when they were little. Amazing. They did such a good job. And the one who was Bette Midler's character, I forget. It doesn't matter. Their names are inconsequential. But
Winifred?
she was so good. The Bette Midler's character in
Yeah,
Hocus
is it Winifred?
Pocus.
I don't remember which one is
Winifred. Yeah, I don't remember. They're the sisters. But she was so good. Like, that would be cool if they could do a movie now with them. Like, just playing the sisters as little kids or as young kids or teenagers. So good.
This is Disney
And
we're talking about. Don't think for a minute that wasn't the whole intention of this movie.
And I hope it
was
is.
either that or the
I mean, because
teenagers.
that could easily become their new.
Whoops.
That could become their new descendants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could make a whole series out of it if they want to. They could do anything. They can make movies. It all depends on how long those kids want to play the part.
If they're
It's
gonna
either them
play
or the
all
3 teens at the end.
Well, that's what
The-
I
the
was
3
talking about
friends.
the teens. I was talking about the teens.
She's
Yeah.
talking about the ones you talking about the ones who played them as little kids, right?
Oh yeah, you-
Salem. Yeah.
Yeah.
girls. Yeah, for sure. I would love to see them go on and do more stuff. And
There's a
I mean,
miniseries.
yeah,
Yeah.
they were so amazingly good. Like, let's bring a miniseries for next Halloween. I'm in. We can have Disney film it and be ready to show it in August, since that's when they start Halloween. Yet everyone's getting butthurt that we have Halloween mist going on right now, but that's another story for another day, or another segment. But no, it was great. I loved it. I'm glad you saw it for what it was, which was just a silly, campy, fun movie. It's like Halloween
Nothing
Town.
more. There was nothing more.
Like,
I
yeah,
haven't
it's
seen that
nostalgia.
either. And my brother just said he watched it with my son and my niece when they were over there one day. And he said that he even said, well, they enjoyed it, but they enjoyed it as the campiness too. He's like, I remember watching it as a kid. He's like, yeah, it's not good.
Don't think for a minute
oh, is
that
it like Hocus
Debbie
Pocus? And
Reynolds
he's like,
was
no,
so
actually,
hot.
he's all, Hocus Pocus is better. That's what he actually said.
Don't
And
think
he's been one trying to get me to watch Hocus Pocus for years.
Yeah, don't think for a minute that if Debbie Reynolds was still alive, they wouldn't be rolling her out there for Halloween Town.
You probably would. You know what? At this point, why are they not CGIing a character together for her as we speak? They're
Oh,
like, she's the holographic ghost. We'll use old footage. Hey, I love Disney for who they are. Like, Disney is $1 billion corporation. You keep rolling it out, I'll keep consuming it.
I
Thank
mean,
you very
I would say that that's coming, but I mean, we've already seen CGI characters, so
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not
Maybe
unheard of. So,
fine. It's good. I'm okay with it.
it's
I have no complaints. It was what it was. It gave you what you wanted. Didn't they drop a hint that, yeah, they did. They dropped a hint that there could be more at the very end. By this point, if you haven't seen it, you're not going to. So yeah,
Right.
they dropped a hint that there could be more. So, and as they
That's
should,
okay.
like, you know, like, let's just see what happens. You just dropped a hint. It doesn't mean you got to go anywhere
Yeah,
with it.
no.
You
I
just
mean,
dropped a hint that, like,
they're gonna
I
look
left
at
an opening.
they're gonna look at viewership and all that stuff, and they're gonna decide, well, not enough people watch this, so we won't do it, or they're gonna decide that enough people watched it and they'll do it. So it's gonna be one or the other, and by D23 next year or something, then they'll be like, okay, well, we're gonna do it, and then they'll announce something, or they won't.
Yep. So that's that. I'm trying to remember what else I wanted to talk about. There's all kinds of stuff, but it's also been a little bit too. So you've been in the park, Gina. Have you noticed anybody using Magic Band?
So I was there yesterday, which was the time before that they hadn't rolled it out yet. So yesterday I saw 0 people using Magic Band, but I did see people like looking at the displays. I know people are buying them. I've been reading a lot of the like groups that are out there for Disney, and I know like people are using them, but I didn't buy one. The reason why we decided not to get one was because we don't use Lightning Lane or DAS. Like we don't have a DOS pass. And that's the number one thing that you can use them for right now, aside from one bounty hunter game.
We'll talk about that in just a second.
Right. And one bounty hunter game and getting in the park. So for us, spending the money, and of course, like my husband wanted one of the Star Wars ones, so it's like $8 million. And then so it would have been over $100 for us to essentially have a fancy watch to get in the park at this point. If they can get you in.
Was that because of the cost of that one, or is it because that the one he wanted was an older one?
No, well, he wanted the one he really wants isn't a Magic Band Plus, so it's not compatible with our park. So then he looked at the next one he wanted, and I want to say it was like the $55 one or whatever. So even if I got a $35 one, it was just going to be really expensive for what is essentially a fancy way to get into the park for us at this time. You can't use it to park, so you still have to pull your phone out to show them your pass for parking. You can't use it to buy anything, so you still have to pull your phone out for that. And again, if we did Lightning Lane, or if I had a DOS pass, I would totally get one, because it looks like it's more efficient to use for like scanning in as opposed to scanning your phone at the Lightning Lane kiosk thing. But I don't really go at night, so I don't need it to light up for fireworks or the World of Color show. I don't need that. I don't need it to vibrate to tell me I'm going on the right path. And the Bounty Hunter game looked cool, but do we really want to spend, let's just say if we bought the cheap ones, $35 each to play a Bounty Hunter game?
You don't want to just settle for a shitty Magic Band. If you're gonna get a Magic Band, you want to get one that's nice, and one that's like, limited edition, or one that's like doesn't look stupid and boring. Like I was looking at Loki ones, because I was gonna get her a Magic Band from Florida that was Loki. And then I was looking at them, and they had so many generic ones that are just like, they look like they're made from that D-Tech thing, where it's just obviously it's just something that's silk screened on there. I finally did find a limited edition one it had like the TVA logo on it and everything. It was really pretty box, but then there's ones that are just on a blister pack that are obviously just silk screened on. And you don't want to settle for that. If you're going to get a Magic Band, you want something that's going to look nice. I mean, you're not going to settle for just a shitty Apple Watch band. Why would you settle for a shitty
I've got
Magic Band?
I've got some different thoughts on it. So
yeah,
I probably will eventually get one, but it's not going to happen soon. There needs to be more functionality with it for me to consider. Okay, this is what I'm waiting for.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you why.
Like we wanted to wear, right?
Yeah.
Like especially, like for me, I'm like, oh, I like the purple one. It's nice. But like my husband, for him to want to wear it, it has to be something he's connected to. Like he loves Star Wars. So he really wanted to see more Star Wars ones. And the ones he really liked weren't even Magic Band Plus. So he's like, well, all right.
This is what I think. So you rolled it out, and then you rolled it out for the Magic key holders, knowing they're going to jump on that and buy it. because they had the limited edition Magic Key ones. I was not going to be a part of that because I knew there wasn't enough functionality with it yet.
And those ones didn't even look that great.
No, they didn't. So I know when I get one, I know I'm going to get one that I like. Okay, I like Gina said, I have a connection with this particular IP, so that's what I'm going to do. So there we are. I also think Disney did this and dropped it on purpose because they're gearing up for Christmas. Because I think they know they're going to sell a lot of them for Christmas. So I think we're going to see more designs come out, and you're going to see more functionality in 2023 because they're going to sell a lot of them for Christmas. I'm convinced of that. Now, as far as usage, I do see myself using it, and I'll tell you why. Because I have been at numerous places within the parks where the Wi-Fi is an issue. And if all that information is stored in the Magic Band, it is going to make it easier for me. I was in the parks last week, and I had a hard time bringing up my pass in DCA to even get my discount for whatever it was that I was buying. Like, that's an issue, and it continues to be an issue. So if it's stored in the Magic Band and they can just scan it, that's functionality for me completely. Yeah. So I see that, but again, I'm going to have a connection to whatever it is that I like as far as band, and it has to be functional for me to use, because I'm not just going to use it to get in and out. I would love it to be, it's my ticket, it's my discount, it's whatever it is that it's going to do. The game. Right. We do know somebody, I do know somebody who got invited to preview the game using Magic Band Plus before it actually rolled out into the public. And even they were like, this isn't something you need right away. It's essentially the same game that's on Play Disney, on the Play Disney app. And even them, as it was a sneak preview of it, the Wi-Fi was an issue. The Wi-Fi was an issue there at the park, even in Batu, trying to actually do the game. And the person who was previewing Wi-Fi. It was like, oh, it's this, making all kinds of excuses. And it's like, no, dude, it is the Wi-Fi. It's the Wi-Fi in this place. That's what it is. You need to fix that. I even had a conversation with a cast member the other day who was, not that they know much, but I was bringing up my pass to pay for what it was that I was purchasing. And I was like, yeah, my pass barely came up. And she was like, yeah, I don't know why, like, if they're going to be so dependent on using the Wi-Fi for so much. And I'm like, yeah. And this was an older lady. She's like, I'm not even very tech savvy, but even I know that, like, if you're going to have so many people connected to this stuff, that it needs to be better. And I'm like, and yeah, it does.
That's a discussion that should have been taken care of 5 years ago.
Or it should have been a discussion before they even thought about doing anything in Batu, because so much of that is dependent on the Wi-Fi. Rise of the Resistance alone.
When I walk into Disneyland, I turn my Wi-Fi off because I have unlimited data on my phone, and my data works better than this Disney Wi-Fi. Yeah. And for a $1 billion company, that is so dependent on their Wi-Fi, they need to upgrade that system. Like, there's no excuse for it at this point.
We go with
just as dependable as Target Wi-Fi, which is to say, not at all.
Out all the time. Yeah. we actually have a hotspot that we were given when the kids were at homeschooling, right? That we'll have as long as my kids are in school, and that's what we use. We actually take it with us, and that's what we connect to actually connect to the Wi-Fi at the park. Right. If we forget it sometimes, because it's happened a couple of times, we forgot it. And I just so happened the day we were there, I think we had either forgotten it or it wasn't turned on, and I just had to like walk around until I found a spot that had better reception until my pass actually loaded. But it's terrible, and they know it too. Like, even when I had I got my Magic Key shots trying to bring it up, I was like, man, this damn thing's on. All the photographers will tell you, oh, you should consider, like, just screenshotting it and putting it as your background on your phone, or
but I shouldn't have to do that.
Favoriting, and that's always what I said. I'm like, yeah, I think that's, I understand that, but it's I shouldn't.
That's not what you're
at all. Yeah.
Shit.
Right. And I do like that you can use it for PhotoPass. I do like that, because it is easier to just have them scan your Magic Band Plus than have you pull up your phone and link all the pictures. But again, like, and though we get it for free because we're the key holder, it's part of our perk now. I'm not as connected to it yet. Do I see us buying one? Just like Dan said, yeah, I believe I will buy a Magic Band in the future. Did I rush right out and buy one for FOMO? Absolutely not. I did.
It'll be when I decide that it's like, okay, the functionality is here where it'll be great. Because I'm not only buying one, I'm buying at least 3. So it's going to be like, no, this has to be functional for all of us, because it is. Like, I've had every one of us at some point has been trying to walk up to the gate, having used the freaking app on the bus over there to see kind of what wait times are, what park we're going to go into. Because you know me, I never go with any plans. Just I look at the wait times when I'm there and decide what we're going to do, what we're going to eat, or whatever it is. Depending on wait time and stuff like that, going through it, and okay, we'll figure that out. And by the time we get through security and walking up to the gate, the app has already kicked us out, and we got to load ourselves back in. Yeah, and then it's inevitably somebody's like, the damn thing's not loading.
People don't want to spend their day to keep signing into an app. There's not what
we've noticed. So we've noticed.
I figure they're fine because as long as you're standing in a line, it gives you something to do.
You said that, and I paused myself and looked over at my daughter who's sitting on the couch, because I told little Anthony just said, you don't want to spend your day logging into the app. But the last time we were there, she complained no less than 3-4 times. This thing keeps kicking me out. Like, I don't understand.
Whenever they do that stupid like sparkle, like now it's the ghosts, and then like when you load the app, it has some kind of thing that happens, like some kind of animation.
Seasonal.
The animation, that is, if there's animation, guaranteed we're getting kicked out minimum of 2 times and having to reload the whole app minimum. And then I follow somebody who made a TikTok or an IG reel about that very thing, where they're standing in line and they like have to upload it again because it kicked them out, because it happens to everyone. So it's frustrating on everyone's part, and the poor cast members at the booth, like just waiting, and they're just looking at you like, you can make it a picture. I actually had the server at Lamplight yesterday. I was like, I'm sorry, it kicked me out. Let me get it so you can do it. And she's like, girl, you need to put that as a picture, like as your favorites. And I looked at her and I go, I shouldn't have to. I get what you're saying, but like I shouldn't have to. It should just load.
I think I'm going to actually do that for all the passes I have on mine. Just because it may come to that point where it's like, just make an album. Like you know how you can make an album on an iPhone, just be like, oh, it's just call it passes.
It's the backup. But again, like we shouldn't have to, even though we will, and because you know the mouse can do what the mouse wants, and we'll still do it. We'll still go to the feeder bar as much as we want. So we'll see.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's been that. I don't know what else we got. I mean, that went further than I thought it would, but so I did go last week to the park, and I think Gina went just the other day, but they're already, not only is the castle starting to get to, which is not new. That's, you have to understand that. That's always been a thing. It takes so long to decorate. We started seeing Halloween decorations in August, and yes, I know it's not Halloween, but you have an opening date of November 11th for Christmas, so there's no way they're going to get everything put up. Only working overnight.
Yeah, I have pictures in my phone from way before pandemic, like from probably like 2015, of them putting the snow on the castle roof beginning of October.
Yeah,
and it's nothing new. It's nothing new. It's what they've always done. If snow goes on the roof of the castle, it's going to start in October.
Mm-hmm. And now it's updated. I've seen stuff where they have, where was it? I think it was DCA, maybe Grizzly Creek had some stuff, maybe even Frontierland, where there's already lights up and they're already plugged in. Like you actually they're already on.
Yeah. They're
in Creek has the best shit with those little firefly lights.
Yeah.
It's the Redwood Trail. Okay. It's pretty much decorated for Christmas in that section. It's
and that it does not like it gets Halloween decor.
No.
So it doesn't, but there's so many natural trees there that you're like, let's decorate this area. That just makes sense. Like it's not anything dumb. It's not, people get crazy, but it's always been a thing. It's always been a thing to start it. And it is because it's so soon after, you're talking by 11 days later, you're on a launch. You're on a launch for like, it's the next season, already. You can't, I still haven't even put up, fall decorations on my own house. Like I've been so busy with a bunch of other stuff. I only have
I have a gigantic
inflatables outside
in my front yard.
A giant what?
A giant spider.
giant spider.
There's a giant spider in my front yard.
If you leave them up towards Halloween, you can call it Nightmare Before Christmas.
There you go.
So yeah, that's been crazy to me. I forgot what I was actually talking about. I don't remember.
I don't know. Is spooky season the new Happy Holidays?
Maybe it as far as
have you heard that trend of the people calling it the spooky season instead of Halloween?
I've seen that.
Yeah,
on social
but
media
that's
a
been
lot.
like that. Like quote unquote, the kids have been calling it that for years.
Have they?
Like it's yeah. Oh, it's spooky season. Yeah. That's been a thing for a long time.
Oh, okay.
And that's fine. I almost
just
ventured to
started
say
notice like media using it, like radio.
oh, they're
you know,
catching
or
on 4 years too
podcasts,
late.
Like like I'm like listening to like CBS Fantasy podcast and they're using it, and
I
I'm
think
like,
that's because it's
right, because I'm thinking, I'm like, is this the new Happy Holidays? Is this the nobody wants to say Christmas, so they say Happy Holidays? Is this
Oh,
the
no.
nobody wants to say Halloween, so they say Spooky Season?
No, I think that's just a trendy thing that caught on, and
Oh.
like after Christmas, this is the holiday that sells the most merchandise,
Right.
and so everybody bought into it. And to be fair, like the parks, they've been fairly busy. You catch stuff.
Yeah.
We're veterans at knowing how to like maneuver different things, but the parks have been busy, and because everybody loves the Halloween decorations. There's just so many of them, so you just go in knowing that like it's gonna be pretty busy.
And there's an entire group of people who've made Halloween their personality trait, which is cool.
Yes.
That's fine. But like it's now who they are as humans. And so also a lot of vloggers make the majority of their coin off of, for some reason, all of the Halloween season, the haunts, the whatever's, like all of So it's become our joke is when we watch a vlogger, they start talking about Halloween in February. So like, don't get angry that Christmas is starting at the end of October when you've been talking about Halloween since February. I don't want to hear it.
But, I mean, that's not even a new trend, like I said, like we said before.
No.
I mean, it's always been like that. I mean, don't blame people when. If you want to blame anyone, blame Walmart, because I mean, the trend of there being Christmas decorations up at Walmart's or Target's, mainly Walmart. Like I even actually, you know what, Home Depot, they're also really, because Christmas stuff has been at Home Depot for like a month already, over a month, and it's like, don't blame other people when it's like that's the stores. You're trained to think that, oh, I need to start Christmas earlier because, well, there's shit over there. There's Christmas stuff right there. So I'm like, but it's only September 29th.
Having worked in retail and have seen, behind the scenes with that, that's because it's been sitting in the back for months.
Yes.
To make sure that like when you do actually launch it, and because you clear out, you have whole seasonal sections. And if you haven't paid attention, that seasonal section changes for every season. It's back to school. It's, storage after the holidays. It's Easter. Like you have that stuff months ahead of time because it's shipping. Now is no different. In fact, it's probably worse because of shipping delays. So it's ordered a lot earlier. So you want to get it as soon as one thing sells out. We've known for the last couple of years, you just don't have the amount that you did. You just don't have it. So you get it out as soon as you can because you need to clear out space in the back for what's coming next.
Right.
So that's part of it. That's actually
and bringing it back to Disneyland, they're no different. They get all that shit way ahead of time.
Right. Yeah.
Why besmirch them because they want to take one store that is a rotating store anyways and have some Christmas shit in there? I mean, what makes them belittle them for that when everybody else is doing it? I mean, go back to Walmart.
But a lot of people plan their vacations because they kind of wanted to see both holidays. Like not everyone lives in Southern California or Florida. Not everyone lives by theme parks. A lot of people travel here, right? A lot of people travel here.
Live in Florida.
So some people want to maximize their vacations by trying to see maybe both. But Disney has to, like Dan said, and we've touched on, you can only put up so much stuff. It's not like there's magical elves at Disney who can take everything down and put everything up in one not even 12-hour period. Disney closes at midnight and reopens at 8 a.m. 7:30 they start letting people in the park for rope drops. So do you think an army of elves can take 7 hours to transform? I mean, there's magic, but
we were barely able to clean the park in that amount of time.
Right? The magic is
Let's not even talk about the old grad night hours. Jesus, 8 hours of work in 4 hours. Come on.
That actually was my point. Was that now I remember what my point was? Christmas merchandise is already rolling out. There's the Emporium already had 2-3 displays of merchandise when I was there last week before. Yeah, they already had, again, fine. But I am of the opinion now that if you see something you like, you better get it. You better get it. It's kind of always been that way with Disney, but especially so with the holiday stuff and it being so early. Like if you do see something you like, you better get it.
I feel like that with any retail. If I see something I like, I better get it because most retail things will just disappear.
Especially if it's seasonal. If it's an everyday item. So
I mean, you have to go to Walmart or Target within the first couple weeks of them having most things if you want to have a good choice. Halloween at Target is the worst. You have to get there.
It was gone.
Super early at Target.
Yeah.
If you want to have a choice of any of their kitsch things or their little decorations or their little things that you could put on the wall or on.
I was there 2 weeks ago. They didn't even have buckets. They didn't even have buckets for the trick or treating.
They sold out of something that's not even Christmas merch, just in the one size. Of course, it's the size we needed. So my niece loves Donald Duck. Like, it is her everything. So they sold an adult Donald Duck sweater. Oh, and she loves Donald Duck, specifically angry with his hat off. They had a sweater. So yesterday were like, we're going to go get it. We went to every store. We even asked every cast member. They were sold out of large. I go pull up the app for Shop Disney. Get this, $60 on property. It was $69, I think, on property, but it was $10 cheaper, give or take, on Shop Disney. But you don't get your discount, and then and then we had to pay for shipping. But they had his size. So I said, just order it from Shop Disney. So when we ordered it from Shop Disney, it ended up being the same price that we would have paid retail on property, but they were out of a size large in something that wasn't even a Christmas thing. So then my husband wanted the Ewok sweater, the zip up, looks like Mr. Rogers sweater. He wanted it. And I said,
oh, is that the one that I had on?
Yes, I think, yeah, the white one, that's like, it was really expensive.
$130?
Yes, but after our discount, it was $112. But they had his size and it's Christmas. And I said, you know what? I know this is expensive. They may not sell out of it, but we're
heavy
here.
As hell too.
Oh yeah. No, and here's the deal. It's a well-made sweater.
Yeah,
like it is really, it's not junk for the price. So
no, it's really
we just got it because I told him, he's like, well, I really want it, but I go, stop. Just get it. If you want it, we have the money. We have the ability. It's at the start of Christmas season. You're wearing it every time. But he bought the Jack Skellington Halloween dapper jacket, and he's worn that thing every time we've gone to Disney. So I'll give the man credit. He does.
Yeah, I've seen your pictures.
He doesn't wear what he buys. So I'm very proud of him.
Can I tell you that I have all faith in Aaron, that Aaron is wearing it and doing well with it. But I did come across a guy, and I have a whole tale of me getting stuck on a bus. And one of the other people on the bus had one of those jackets on, and either he smelled or that jacket smelled. It was
okay. It was probably him because I aired the jacket out.
Febreze something.
Let's put it this way. I'm responsible for the laundry here, and my husband is a very fresh smelling individual because I have to live with him, drive with him, and sit next to him.
This is in no defense of this individual, but he was probably a smoker. Not that whatever, but you could just tell looking at him, this guy smells. And like, oh, that jacket had a funk to it. It was, and it was the orange one with Halloween, and you could just tell by looking. He had little pork pie hats on, And you can just tell from looking at that, like you have sweat in that. I don't know how many times. You don't wash it. You can tell that you smell, dude. Like it was bad.
Tell us the story of how you got stuck on that bus, because
Okay.
I want to hear the story
Okay.
of what happened, because I have never parked in the Toy Story parking lot before. And Dan, the day I park there, Dan's like, "Oh, I've got a story," and I'm all, "Oh no."
Okay. Yeah. Well, real quick, let me tell you about merchandise, because the Halloween lights. So if you've seen the Halloween lights or the Christmas ones, which I'm sure will be out this next week or so, get them, because they have been out of those for weeks. They had plenty of the which I think are really cool, the Main Street Electrical Parade ones that go with the music. I think those are actually really cool. But they had plenty of those left over, but not the actual Halloween ones. So I would fully recommend getting those early, and because they sell out of the Christmas ones all the time. So when you see them, definitely go ahead and get them. And I'm looking at that Donald zipper behind you has been sold out for weeks. Yeah.
I got it.
Although you can still find this, like, at quite a few places. So.
Well, that's huge.
Like that one too, but Donald merch is so. As somebody who now is actively searching for Donald merch all the time, he's hard to come by. Like, he's not. They don't do Donald service the way they need to. So I think people, when there's something, that comes out with Donald, they rush to go get it.
Maybe he was right in all those Mickey Mouse Club episodes. The bus. Okay, so the bus. So per our usual trips, I think it was a Friday night. My kids and I decided to go to the park, get there, park in the Toy Story lot. None of this is a problem. We even go up, and the transportation cast members have the Halloween signs, the ones you can hold up for a picture. So, hey, okay, cool. He's like, "You guys want a picture?" Yeah, might as well take pictures of the kids with it, the frame, everything, real nice. Go up to, wait for a bus. A bus pulls up. Now, this is one of those short buses, which I've never actually seen over there. I've never actually seen the short buses on that side. And we're like, okay, yeah, go ahead and get on. Okay. So we go, and somehow we start talking to each other and other people that were on the bus. I don't even know where we ended up, because I kind of wasn't paying attention. But the next thing I know, we're passing across from the Alpine Inn. The Alpine Inn is across the street from the convention center. So I'm like, what are we doing? Did this guy go the wrong way? And in fact, he was driving this thing like a bat out of hell, because this damn bus was bouncing around all over the place. Wow. I mean, he was driving pretty fast. So we actually turned onto Harbor that left, by the convention center, that left onto Harbor. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Maybe he went the wrong way. I don't know what happened, but we're back on track now. Okay. So we get there into the parking lot, and we get like shown out right away. Like, no, you can't go this way. You know how you go in and the buses kind of turn to the right in front of where the drop-off parking is? We ended up going left and making a U-turn basically out of there, and had followed a couple of other buses. So we're like, hey, man, what are you doing? And we said, they shuffled us out of there. He said, there's too many buses backed up. So they do that to us sometimes. So we have to go back to the lot and basically turn around. So we end up back at the Toy Story parking lot, turned around, and then come back. Wow. Well, we went in back again or shuffled out again, and we ended up back at the parking lot again. At this point, some people were like, we just kind of want to get off the bus, because we're going to the parking lot anyway. Like, we already missed what we're going to do. Let us off. And he's like, okay. He's like, on the next, like, I'll bring you back when we go through again. And we're like, okay. So we go out, come through again, and we're like, okay, we're going to get let off this time because we're in with all these other buses. And then he doesn't drop us off where the nighttime drop off is, which is usually on the right-hand side, like closer to where the Harbor walk-in is. We don't get let off there. And we're like, this is kind of unusual. He should have let us off over there. So we come across to the other side, and he gets stopped, and we can hear the cast member telling him, no, you can't park here. You can't drop off on this side. So we don't even get dropped off on that side at all. Like, so where are we headed? We're headed back to the Toy Story parking lot. Yeah, again. So at that, and mind you, we're behind all these other buses and traffic and stuff, because there's a number of people coming into the park. Some I say old man, but he wasn't, but 10 or 15 years older than me. At this point has had it because he has to pee. Like, and he's got some kind of medical issue where it's like he's got to go right now. So he let him off the bus at that stoplight on Harbor, across the street from the Anaheim hotel or whatever it's called, Inn or whatever it's called, the one that was doing the parking during when only Buena Vista Street was open for shopping. He opens the door and the guy's just like, because this bus driver has two choices. He's going to let this guy off this bus, or this guy's about to fight him and open the damn door himself and get off. So we end up back at the Toy Story parking lot where we had just said, all of us are getting off this bus, because that guy had already gotten off, and there's maybe 4 parties of people on there. So the rest of us were like, no, we're getting off this bus, and we are not getting back on that one, because this guy doesn't know what's going on. So we get off again at the Toy Story lot, board a normal looking bus, and we tell the cast members, oh, is that bus still loading? Oh, did you not want to get on that one? Well, no, none of us want to get back on that bus. And at first we didn't consider it to be the guy's fault, because he kept getting shuffled out of there. Turns out he was on the wrong route. That bus is not supposed to be on that route. So we were like, does he not know this? He doesn't know where he's going? Because it's normally one of the buses that like picks up from the hotels, the shorter one, and drops off in the other side of that parking area on the Harbor side. So we spent almost an hour on the bus trying to get into the park. It was absolutely ridiculous. It turns out that it's kind of mostly his fault. So we're just like, okay, like I had planned to go into DCA, and that's like not going to happen anymore, because I think we got there a little after 9, but by the time we actually got off a damn bus, it was almost 10 o'clock. So no point in going to DCA. So we went into Disneyland for the rest of the night. That's the worst experience I've ever had there.
At least it was nighttime.
Yes. So the only thing I'll give it is at least it was nighttime.
And so then it wasn't bright and hot outside.
We get on the regular bus and right into the drop-off area where he drops us off on the right like he's supposed to, and then makes the U-turn to go pick up the people that are going back to the parking lot. It was absolutely ridiculous. And, we thought, because based on the stuff that the driver was saying, then it was like they keep shuffling him around over here. And he was like, yeah, if I was a passenger, like, I understand, I'm sorry. Like, I'd be angry at you and realize, like, dude, this kind of is your fault, because you really don't know where you're going. So it was an adventure, to be sure. One I hope I never live again. And when we got back, and get this, here's the kicker of it all. When we left the park for that evening, as we were getting back on the bus, what should pull up but a short bus? And we're like, oh, Lord. Not the same driver. If it was the same driver, I would have been like, no.
I'd be like, no.
Nope. Someone else. But no, we did get dropped off like we were supposed to. But I don't know how they run stuff, but this was not done well. I wasn't completely irritated, but it was like, this is getting irritating, doing this. And at some point, when we ended up back in the parking lot, I was like, no, we're getting off this bus. I don't want to ride on this bus anymore. Like, if they're, giving issues, let's ride the full-size bus. It was completely stupid, waste of my time. I've never had anything like that happen. I wouldn't even know who to complain to, because it's not like you can complain to Disney, because that's not actually Disney. It's contracted out. So it was an unusual night, to be sure. But then I went in and had junk food, so it was good.
So it was all better.
It was a win.
You eat churros, have a Dole Whip,
I think we had. Actually, I held this up to you before. I'm going to hold it up to you again. The Zero popcorn bucket. This was my consolation prize, because I went in. I was like, I'm going to get some popcorn. Oh, they have the bucket. It lights up. Okay, I earned this. So here we are. That's my story. Pretty nuts.
I don't know how I would have handled that, but
oh, you would have handled it very bad. I was starting to get irritated. You would have been that guy that was getting off the bus. I thought I don't know
about this, because I would. Oh, depending on if I did have to pee, then yeah, I probably would have been that guy.
Oh, I would have walked off the bus, because I would have walked across the street to the hotel and gone. Right there by the pizza press or whatever it is. You can find one. Yeah. The guy, I don't know. Even turning around, and it's one of those. It's the smaller buses, but they're still big. So every time he turned around in the Toy Story parking lot, the 2 or 3 times that we were there, it's a 3-point turn, like every single time. And this guy was whipping this around like I said, a bat out of hell. Like we were a lot of bumps on that damn thing. It was like its own little roller coaster. Yeah, but before we knew it, it had been 50 minutes.
Wow.
I couldn't have done it.
Crazy.
I couldn't have done it.
And people complain about getting stuck on a ride.
Right.
I don't know. I think that might be about it. I can't think of anything else I wanted to talk about necessarily.
Yeah, next time we can talk about probably the end of Andor, depending on when the next time is.
Should probably be right around the beginning of Christmas, because I have reservations booked for the first day of Christmas, and then I'm going to be going to a UCLA game, I think, the next day. So probably sometime that weekend, but about 2 weeks
well,
from now.
the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special will be by then, probably.
Yeah,
I don't know what date
there's
it
all
was.
kinds of stuff coming. We'll talk Tales of the Jedi.
Tales
I'll
of the
watch
Jedi.
that. I'll
Yes,
watch
you
that by
guys,
then.
somebody can watch that by then.
Yeah, I'll probably catch that because it's Star Wars. So
Yeah, oh, it'll be on in the house for sure here.
yeah, that was really good. Oh, we didn't talk about Doctor Who.
Oh,
but
well, pretty simple. Doctor Who is coming to Disney Plus. There you go. We talked about Doctor Who. It's actually so all the is it the original stuff?
No, the new stuff starting with the 60th special is probably what's going to be coming to Disney Plus. Initially, it was only assumed, well, except for by people that were automatically just jumped to conclusions. In this case, they actually jumped to the right conclusion because at first they just thought that Disney Plus was going to be a distribution deal where they were going to show Doctor Who. But then, come to find out a day later, Disney's actually going to have money, be throwing money at Doctor Who. So Doctor Who's production value is going to go up, and people are going to complain. The purists are going to complain because Doctor Who's niche is that it has that lower budget quality, but also still having a quality to it.
Yeah,
that was the complaint about New Who, was that it was too high quality compared to old Who, which compared to American shows of the same time period is clearly has a lower production value. Always has. But even New Who is still lower production value than same thing that's going on here in the United States. But that might change now. Disney's going to be throwing money at Doctor Who. Supposedly, Russell T Davies and his production company is still going to have full creative control. But as with anything else, everybody's going to accuse Disney of having their say in things, just like they do with Lucasfilm and Marvel and anything else. So you're going to have so much backlash with the whole Disney thing. But I think it's good for Doctor Who. It's going to be the BBC has given Doctor Who runarounds with money for years. It's good to have. I mean, obviously BBC still has their stake in it, but it's going to be good to have outside money going to Doctor Who, not having to depend on BBC and their scraps. So it's going to be good for Doctor Who in the long run. So
yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I enjoy Doctor Who. I didn't catch on to the newest Doctor until after everything had aired. I just didn't have time. But once I actually got to watching them, I found them good. So that means Disney is getting the next regeneration because she's done, right? Jodie Whittaker is.
Yes, Jodie is gone, and it is now back to David Tennant, who will be the 14th Doctor, and then will by the time
going back to David Tennant.
Yes, back to it. She's already back. She regenerated into David Tennant at the end of the episode that aired last weekend,
which I have on my DVR, which means I have to watch that pretty soon.
Spoilers.
I had no idea.
Sorry. Spoilers.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
I had no idea. I'm okay.
But then there will be 3 specials over the span of probably a couple months, starting with the 60th, which is next November, and then there'll be 2 other specials, and somewhere in those 3 specials, Tennant will presumably regenerate into the 15th, the next Doctor, who is Ncuti is, I think, how you say his first name, but I don't want to butcher his name. I'm not going to try to say his name until I actually learn how to say it.
So I assume there's a good storyline to bring back an old Doctor.
Presumably, there's a speculation that it could be the retelling of a 1993 special that never happened, where Tom Baker was going to be brought back and he was going to be in some dark dimension or something. So there's speculation it could be that story being finally told, or it could just be something to do with I don't know. The villain of the of it is going to be Neil Patrick Harris. who plays
Where
something.
have I been with all this news? Okay.
I love
I'm
Neil Patrick Harris too. I'm like, I really enjoy his work. So
Yeah,
I'm looking
if you watch the trailer for the upcoming Who for next year, you catch a glimpse of him in like in a top hat. And
If you've never watched Doctor Who, Gina, it's actually really good. But it's
You know what? I watched it so long ago that the last Doctor I saw was the guy who was also in Harry Potter. So obviously I need to catch up.
So David Tennant.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. All of it's
I liked
good.
it when I saw it.
Yeah.
I have a real problem watching shows, apparently. I just kind of fall in and out of them, and then they forget they exist. It must be the ADHD.
Where right now can you watch the older, not the classic, but like
New Who is on
HBO
Max. New Who is on HBO Max. So everything started with the 9th Doctor and on, including the David Tennant, then Matt Smith, and then Peter Capaldi, and then Jodie Whittaker. That stuff is all on HBO Max. The only place to see old Who is on BritBox.
Okay. Which I never actually got into. I know who they are, but I never actually got into that. I got introduced with the 9th Doctor and have been watching it since then.
When I was a kid, the Tom Baker Doctors were on TV here in America, and I would watch them, and then I would also read about them in Starlog.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes. When I was a kid, many moons ago. But so if you want to just jump in and watch any New Who, that's all on HBO Max for now. It hasn't been made clear what the deals are going to be for old Who with the Disney Plus. If it's just going to be stuff that's going to be on Disney Plus, will only be from that and on, or if they're also going to bring all of the stuff from HBO Max to. It depends on how long HBO's deal, how long Warner Brothers deal is. I mean, there's so much chaos over at Warner Brothers. And speaking of Warner Brothers, real fast, let's just James Gunn being named chief creative officer for DC. That's a big deal.
That is a big deal.
And just a note that the first two people that James Gunn called when he found out that he's going to get to that position, 1, Kevin Feige, 2, John Cena.
Peacemaker. Yeah, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like DC movies, but they're not on par with Marvel movies.
Not yet.
They're just not. Yeah, this might be the turning point.
James Gunn is there's been so much chaos because James Gunn has control over all of it now, though.
Yeah.
It's not like before where it was the one guy in charge of the movies, one guy in charge of TV, one guy in charge of animation, which is why the animation was always far superior to everything else, because
even the TV shows were better than the movies.
But James Gunn has all of it. He's going to be in charge of all of it. So he's going to hopefully get rid of all the people who's been doing all the dumb stuff, like Jeff Johns, first of all. Hopefully he doesn't let him near anything anymore. He can go back to comics for all I care. But it's gonna hopefully be a big deal for DC. Hopefully they can get some sort of direction, and I think that direction is gonna start and end with Peacemaker and The Rock's Black Adam.
Yeah.
And I think it's gonna continue with a new, maybe very a la Daredevil coming into the MCU from the Netflix and not being exactly the same Daredevil, but the same Daredevil. Henry Cavill returning as Superman, a la spoilers if you didn't know that he appears in in credits scene in Black Adam. He's Henry Cavill, but he's not wearing a costume. He's wearing a much brighter, traditional looking Superman costume than the dark ass Snyderverse costume.
It's been needed. We've talked about that before. That's much needed.
Yes, it is. And so I think we're going to get a new Cavill Superman. It's going to be Cavill Superman, but it's not going to be Snyder's Cavill Superman. It's going to be James Gunn's Cavill Superman. And I think that is couples with the announcement yesterday of
He got replaced.
that he's been replaced in The Witcher season 3.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that the people that are doubting Liam Hemsworth, don't forget who his fucking brother is.
Yep.
Don't think he might have been out there pumping some iron with his brother, getting ready for Thor: Love and Thunder. So have faith in Hemsworth.
I think that's a good place to.
The Hunger Games, after all.
Yeah. He was good in the Hunger Games, and I guess that's a good place to wrap it up. So I'll just say that, hey, we have all kinds of social media. You can follow me at Dan's Disney Adventure. We have the Disney Culture on YouTube, which is basically Gina. I called you Tina. Gina.
You have too many Inas in your life. That's all.
I do. Yeah. Our TikTok shorts. I have my TikTok at Danzig77, DANSCIG77. Lots of Disney content on all of this, across all of this. It's fun. We make fun of a bunch of stuff as we do here, so it's worth your watch.
I feel left out of the YouTube stuff, but I mean, there's nothing I can do about that.
Unless you're gonna film stuff, reactions to stuff,
and join us. Come join us. We'll love it. You're always welcome.
It's weird. The algorithm is totally weird because I'll make something that will blow up on TikTok and then barely get watched on YouTube, or we'll get no views on TikTok but then blow up on YouTube. Like, it's weird. It's usually one or the other. Someplace on one side I've got like maybe 200 views, but then it'll be 2,000 views on the other one. So I don't know, whatever. It's stupid, but it's fun. It's fun to do. I'm not looking to monetize anything. We're just looking to make fun of stuff and have a good time, which is what we've been doing, and people seem to enjoy it. So
right on.
Like, laugh.
Okay. All right. I think last thing I have to say is happy spooky season.
Happy spooky season.
Because this will drop on spooky season or right before. So happy spooky season, and we'll see you at the beginning of Christmas time at the parks in a couple of weeks. So
Christmas time is here.
Which will not be shown on TV this year. That's a whole different conversation. Apple Plus.
That's fine. I have Apple. So
I have it on Blu-ray. So I'll just stick.
I also have it on Blu-ray. So
I'll just stick to
in fact, I'll probably watch Charlie Brown. Tonight.
I may decide to get a viewing of the Haunted Mansion in. Just because we were talking about how they're redoing all the supernatural stuff. Let's watch the Haunted Mansion with Eddie Murphy. So we'll see. All right. I'll talk to you both later. It is lunchtime. So
I'll see you guys.
All right. Bye.
Disney Culture is a part of the Extraordinary Culture podcast universe. Follow my Disney stuff on IG and YouTube at Dan's Disney Adventures. Follow my Disney stuff on TikTok at Danzig77. It's DANSZIG77. Thanks for listening. See you real soon.